Hello, fellow sewing enthusiasts. I'm Sarah Gunn. I'm an author and creator of the fashion sewing blog, Goodbye Valentino. When I'm ready to sew a new garment, I often turn to classic silhouettes. Classic garment patterns are readily available. These silhouettes have withstood the test of time. Their straightforward fits make them easily adaptable to current trends. Today, I'm going to be sewing ribbon skirts from a simple classic skirt pattern. Ribbon skirts are festive, they're feminine, and they're fun to make. They can be made in a variety of colors. As a matter of fact, the color combinations you can make using grosgrain ribbons are endless. These corals and pinks remind me of mangoes, melons, colorful sunsets, and all things tropical. And these soothing blues will take you anywhere. You might even want to think about making a ribbon skirt in your favorite team's color for game day. All you do to make a ribbon skirt is you layer grosgrain ribbon over a skirt base. So what you'll need to make a ribbon skirt is a simple skirt pattern. It can be a pencil skirt pattern, A-line pattern, or a straight skirt pattern. You'll need 1 to 1.5 yards of pre-washed cotton for your skirt base, an invisible zipper. You will need ribbon, and I use approximately 20 yards of ribbon. This skirt has 14 rows of ribbon. This skirt has 15 rows of ribbon. This is about 18 inches long, and this is about 19 inches long. And then, of course, you will need thread to match your ribbon colors. Okay, here's my skirt base. The first thing I've done is I've sewn in the darts on the front and back. I've hemmed each piece with the machine. And then, starting 3/4 of an inch above the lower edge, I mark horizontal rows at 1 1/4 inch increments. After I mark my rows, I number them just so I can ensure that my placement is accurate. Now, this ribbon is 1 1/2 inches wide. So after I've marked my rows and numbered my rows, I'm going to sew a layer of ribbon over that bottom horizontal row. And as you can tell, this is 1 1/2 inch ribbon. It provides a 1/2 inch overhang for the hem. Then it's time for some fun. We're going to shingle these ribbons just to make sure we like the placement. Let's see, of the ribbons. I generally use about 3 or 4 of one color and then gradually go to the next color just to get the ombre effect. You don't have to sew these with an ombre effect, but you can see how these play out as I start to layer the ribbons over the skirt base. Let's see, we will they gradually get lighter, and the second and third color are so close it's hard to distinguish the hues, but once it's made, you'll see those beautiful hues gradually change. So this is my color palette. Now, I'm going to pin and sew this second layer of ribbon to my skirt base. I like to use an edge stitching presser foot when I sew these ribbons on, so I can stay nice and close to the top edge of the ribbon. So, because this is 1 1/2 inch ribbon, and I've marked in 1 1/4 inch increments, you're going to have a 1/4 inch overhang. So it'll cover it very nicely. Now, it doesn't matter too much about the width that you cut. You just want you just want an overhang, and then after you stitch your ribbon, you'll cut it to match the edge of your skirt. Okay, let's sew this. Now you can tell how this presser foot is letting me sew right up against the edge of the ribbon. And I'm staying right along that horizontal line. Let's remove that pin. There is really nothing to it, sewing these ribbons on, but they can produce, when you sew the ribbon onto the base of your skirt, especially when you get up towards the top of the skirt where the darts are, it can produce a little bit of an eased effect. So I like to press each ribbon after I've stitched it. Okay. I've marked these rows with a heat-soluble marker, and that means they will disappear whenever the iron touches them. So after I stitch, I always press from the bottom of the skirt so I don't erase those markings. All right. Put a light steam on the iron. First, I press it from the back. And this is going to help your ribbon stay nice and flat as you go, and you want that. You do not want your ribbons to pucker and change the shape of your skirt base. All right, so my marks are still here because I've pressed from the bottom. I'm just going to lightly snip off the edge. And what I like to do is sew about 3 or 4 rows on the front, 3 or 4 rows on the back. Make sure my numbers match up, and that will keep my placement very accurate. All right, this is a skirt that I'm working on in earth tones. So after I layered my ribbons, I top stitched this the top layer. And I'm going to show you in just a moment why I did that. Next, I add an invisible zipper. And you really want an invisible zipper. You do not want anything that's going to interfere with the placement of these ribbons. And I'll show you when you zip, everything, the ribbons just fall right into place. And you barely even notice you don't notice that there's a zipper in the garment. So the way I finish off my ribbon skirts is I take a piece of ribbon that matches the top layer, I pin it directly on top of that top layer of ribbon, and then I stitch. So now I'm going to change the presser foot on the machine and the thread color in the machine. So I've changed my thread to match this ivory layer of ribbon. You do change threads a lot when you're making the ribbon skirt. However, your bobbin thread can always remain the same. So I am using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm using this ribbon as the facing for the waistline. You can certainly use the facing that comes with the pattern, but using this grosgrain ribbon provides a simple, neat, and clean finish to your waistband. I am using a 100% polyester thread. Now, you might notice that the top layer may not meet the top of the skirt, but that's okay because it's all going to become part of the seam allowance. Okay. So as you can tell, this just goes on very nice and easily. I've opened out my zipper. And after I take the pins out of this waistband, or the facing, I'm simply going to press, turn in the excess, I'll trim it just a little bit. I'll trim this, turn, fold the ribbon along the skirt base, and as you can tell, this top stitched ribbon is going to give the effect of a waistband. Now, this coral skirt is finished, and this is stitched down on the blue. And after I fold in the ribbon, I just take a needle and thread and I slip stitch the ribbon to the skirt base. And that's all there is to it. So the next time you're ready to add a feminine detail to your wardrobe, consider making a ribbon skirt. No one will believe you made it.